Start with your question again from the top. Is that okay?
My name is Aubade Zainab. According to one of our panelists, he said, when we take a look at the budget, there are certain money set aside for construction of roads, schools, and others, but money are not set aside for recruiting soldiers, police, or other security personnel. But from my own understanding, defense and ammunition always have the largest funds in the budget. So my question is, where are these funds going to? What are they used for? Or is it that this money are not enough? Or is it that this money are not enough to? Or is it
Thank
that
you.
this money
Thank
are
you so
not
much,
enough,
Zainab.
or cannot be us like the part of the money cannot be set aside to recruit soldiers and other security personnel?
Thank you. We'll take a couple more, then we'll come back to the panel.
I think we should take a man this time.
Okay, I see a
All
hand.
right, I'm here,
Middle.
please.
Okay, there you go.
Sorry.
Go ahead, sir.
My name is Seth Kakuli. Mine is actually related to Nigeria and the recent happening around West Africa. If we're going by numbers, probably 7 to 8 successful coups has happened. And these are the result of bad government, insecurity, and others. And you see the military coming in. At least even I've never experienced a military coup. I was born during those era. So I'm trying to ask, because we are lucky this afternoon to have the military panels seated here. So I want to know the position that the military are playing. So Nigeria should not end up just like the 7 to 8 nations around Nigeria facing military coup. Thank you.
Okay. Can we crave your indulgence for just a couple of minutes? Let's sort out a technical hitch. It's being worked on. Apologies for this. It won't be long now. Please bear with us.
Topa.
Thank you, Group Captain.
Okay, thank you so much for your patience. We are back on. The gentleman was asking this question when midway we had the issue. Could you please restate your question, your name again, and then very quickly state your question? Thank you. Yes, sir.
All right, my name is Seth Kakuli, a student of the University of Abuja. All right. From the recent happening around West Africa, we could see that there are military coups happening, the likes of Mali, Gabon, Chad, and the rest. And it's as a result of the fact of insecurity. There are no foods in the land, the people are clamoring, and then the military take advantage, and they are on board. So now I want to ask the military this morning, having some of our retired generals and serving military personnel on the panel this morning, what measures are the military putting in place so Nigeria should not end up as nations that will become a coup nation? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think there's a woman there.
Okay. Madam, please.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Faiga. One is a contribution and the second one is a question. On the issue of insecurity, we're all
We do
aware
apologize.
Please continue.
So what I'm trying to say is on the issue of insecurity, I think we need to take our drug enforcement agencies into consideration, because I believe drugs is one of the key drivers of this insecurity, number one. And then the second question I have is, what are the proactive measures in place on this issue of insecurity, more especially on the northwest, Zamfara in particular? I'm from Zamfara. What are we doing? What have we done? I mean, there has to be some proactive measures because these things are still going on. It's like on every other day basis, the killings. So what are the proactive measures from the federal government and to the state government? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our panelists.
I think we should take one more question and then we'll go to the panelists. Okay. We'll come back to you. We apologize. We'll come back to you. Let's take from the man. I'll come back to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kunle Adibaju. I'm a journalist. Thank you for all the insightful and honest analysis. My question pertains to like our version of the military-industrial complex. Even if we continue to employ more police officers, if we adequately equip military personnel, what hope is there that we will see any difference as long as some people continue to profit from the insecurity? Nigeria has invested more in the defense sector since 2009. Despite that fact, insecurity has continued to be on the rise. So what's the solution to this? What can we do in a way that will not boomerang like in the Sahelian countries? And then the second question is directed to the retired Brigadier General, S.K. Usman. I'm glad you emphasized the case of human rights violations. And I just want to observe that it seems we've continued to perpetuate the same pattern of violating the human rights of people, and this has worsened cases of insecurity in places like the Northeast with the extrajudicial killing of the BH founder, in places like the Southeast with the raids and extrajudicial killings of protesters identified as pro-Biafran agitators. And what we as journalists have noticed is that when you bring this to the notice of spokespersons and other people within the military brass, the reaction is often denialistic or defensive rather than trying to engage you with sincerity and bring the officers to account.
All
So
right.
what can we do to get more accountability and to ensure that this vicious cycle of human rights violations, worsening cases of insecurity is resolved? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I think the first question will direct to Brigadier General Usman. She was asking about the budget. She said there's budget going for road and the rest of it, but nothing is really going into recruitment of soldiers. So why is the money going into?
I don't think it is true. Why? Because I think barely 2 or 3 weeks ago, over 4,000 or 6,000 recruits are passed out from Depot Nigerian Army. And as I'm speaking to you right now, I think some of them are now assembling. So they wouldn't have been trained, that number wouldn't have been trained if there was no allocation for it. And there wouldn't have been those coming in now if there is allocation. The only difference possibly, apart from the screening process at the state level, usually they go to the Nigerian Training Center at Falgore in Kano State. But this time around, I think they have seen this screening process now taking place at Fort Nigeria. And I think are being documented right now as it is. So there is just like what is being said. I don't know whether I think it was General Balada said talked about the subheads. Sometimes, and I will give you an example with the Nigerian police. When I was in NIPS way back 2018, we are trying to see how best, because the topic of our research was interrogating internal security framework and community policing, policy options, recommendation and implementation strategy in Nigeria. Now, we took time up to visit 40 ministries, departments, and agencies in Abuja, 12 states of the Federation, 6 African countries, and 6 other countries, outside the African continent. And yet, what happened after recommendations and what have you, at the end of it, we ought to have seen the activation of the community policing system, something that was started way back 2013 or thereabout. So the problem, again, is that there was even argument between the police headquarters that time, because we are trying to see how best can we improve the funding of the Nigerian police force, because we realized that it was inadequately funded, apart from lack of training, lack of equipment, to reposition the average policeman or policewoman to be abreast with security challenges of the 21st century. But I can rest assure you, there were arguments between the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. You are saying they have released X amount of money to the Nigerian police. And I think either, I can't remember precisely whether it is 7 billion naira or 7 trillion naira. I can't remember, but I know the figure 7.
All right,
But the
Brigadier.
police were saying that they only got 3. So that is the problem. And even among the 3, there wasn't enough money for training, but rather for infrastructural development. So, and that is what you are seeing. Sometimes they will allocate money. And of course, the defense sector, just like any other sector, is competing. And that is why they have the enveloping system. Yes, there
All right,
are
Brigadier
expedited
General
action to
Usman.
fund them. So, but it is not correct to say so.
Thank you so much. So I think she's gotten it correctly. Money is allocated to them. I mean, that's what she wanted to get.
Yeah,
She was thinking was
exactly.
going. And just like you said, we saw that issue with the PSC
And
and
beyond
Nigerian
that,
Police Force.
also, you see, this has to be complemented. It's only the security forces that are recruiting almost as at when due. Maybe you see Navy doing it, Air Force doing it,
Okay.
Army doing it. But the other sectors are not. Take, for instance, when did we have wholesome, employment of eligible men and women by the Federal Civil Service Commission? So these efforts need to be complemented so that it is only those who are interested in serving the nation in those Herculean conditions, like the armed forces, that will go there. Let them have other options also.
All right, Brigadier General Usman, rather. Thank you so much, because we need to take as many questions as possible. So I'll just merge this question. Someone asked about the coups in other countries. How do we ensure that Nigeria does not end up like this? And he was talking about the fact that insecurity in the country. And then someone else talked about proactive measures. Seems like in Nigeria, it's mostly reactive to the insecurity situation. And so he's asking, what are the proactive measures? So I'll direct that to Brigadier General Sally.
I'll start from the easy one. Proactive about deployment of security measures to any problems. The armed forces for which the nation depends, because it's the only effective and efficient tool. So every problem in Nigeria, the army is the hammer. Like every problem is the nail. Was the division in Sokoto that was not created when I was 8th division when I was not in service? I mean, I left the military after 30 years of service. I left the military 11 years ago, and there is a proliferation of divisions to actually, because of the forecasts of the insecurities, and that because it is the military, you guys love to see soldiers for as much as you want to see soldiers, including chasing rent, okay? And they are mandated to do that, and they do that. So I hope I've addressed that. Then secondly, about coups and the likelihood of Nigeria experiencing a coup, I don't see it. I actually don't see it in my lifetime. Military officers, as you can see from the examples of those of us sitting here, we are highly educated, we are highly traveled, we are sophisticated. Some of us are grandfathers, we love our lives, okay? And we really know what the essence is of democracy, okay? But the point is that those before us have really burnt their fingers in attempt to help Nigeria. Today, they are much vilified. But the truth is that coups, military coups, are not the only aberrations to correcting governments. I say this with all strength, to correcting the ignobility of the pretenders to democracy. Otherwise, you will have insurgents and terrorists who will have their own idea of how their nation should be correctly pursued. People are running all over the place to ensure that NSAS 2, Sorosoke, doesn't happen. That in itself is some kind of a social movement that you can acclaim to a coup. You remember Arab Spring? You remember how it started? So back to rest my case is politicians need to behave responsibly.
Because
otherwise, you will have soldiers like you have in Senegal who will sit down and watch you till a young, effective guy kicks you out and kicks out even your foreign collaborators. So be rest assured that no military officer in Nigeria will bother himself, to come and help you to address bad governance. Okay? We are
Brigadier
very,
General
very
Sale,
comfortable and we are taking care of ourselves. Thank you.
there's a protest coming up as well.
Yeah, that's
they're
what I'm
looking
saying. It is Sorosoke too. That's how it is addressed. And I worry about the ethnicization of that movement because that was how NSAS collapsed. At the point, an ethnicity claimed NSAS and started addressing it as an ethnic movement. Even this one, that is what it is. The slogan is Sorosoke too. Who knows what Sorosoke means?
Okay. All right. I will address this one. I'll pose this question to Dr. Adamu. He was asking, what is the hope that things will change in the country? He's talking about insecurity. Every day you hear someone has been kidnapped, someone was killed. So how do we ensure that this stops?
Well, the mantra of the government is renewed hope, and so we are riding on that renewed hope. And I think that that's what keeps everybody moving, hope. I think that there are lots of moving parts. And, if you are a project manager, once you have those moving parts, you have hope that it will happen. But the ingredient that would allow sustainability and allow the efforts to show is our involvement. And I think in the course of our conversation, we've spoken about how we can each be involved.
All right. The last one, Brigadier Usman. Oh, this was directed to you. Human rights violation and accountability. Quickly.
Well, I think on the part of the security forces, I know, particularly the army, General Bala is trying to oppress me that he left the army 11 years ago. Sir. I did. Well, I left 5 years ago too, and I'm happy. But I know there were measures, in place. And I think if you just depose what is happening now and the last 10, 15 years, you will realize there is a serious improvement in the sense that the military was concerned and they took measures to address it. Take, for instance, and I'm sure, unfortunately, Senator is no longer here. He knows that there are standing disciplinary measures. None of the divisions, almost all the divisions that are involved in all the operations, they have standing court martials that deal with. That is one. Secondly, before we even have the national emergency line, it was the Nigerian Army that has the emergency number 193 that you can call from anywhere, toll-free in this country to complain about human rights abuses, not just of the Nigerian Army, but even other security forces. And of course, there are other structural development talking about establishment of civil, military, affairs department, the human rights desk, and all the rest. But most importantly is the training, being given to, the troops. In fact, there are emblems, there are training, and of course other legislation. Take for instance, what is the name of this during Operation Second 11? Was the operation during elections? They have a kind of code of conduct. Each officer, every soldier, anytime he or she is going on operation, has a code of conduct. So that he will be conscious of the fact that you are there to, protect the human right, not to jeopardize it. There are so many other measures, but time will not permit me to mention it.
All right. We'll take two more questions?
Yeah, we have 3 more.
Okay, we have a woman in front here.
Zainab, I think let's come to this end.
Okay.
Okay, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. So
I'm sorry. Beg your pardon. We have just about 1 minute. Then we need to shut it down. So please be brief with your question and the response as well. Thank you.
My name is Hawa Booth. I'm not going to be allowed to say what I want to say, but I just want to thank you for being on the panel. And that it's almost unfair, to bombard you with questions to prefer solutions, considering you're not the ones that have taken an oath to protect us. But we'll make do with your expert opinion. I want to make reference to I think General Bala. Am I right?
Yeah.
Bala and Group Captain Shehu. On the point you made about population, 20 to 1,000 Nigerians. So I did a little extrapolation and I got 4.4 million personnel needed. It wasn't difficult. What's the damn difficulty in translating this number into troops on the ground through training, through the equipment and all? Now, if you, no, sir, it's not money. Every single day we hear that trillions are being petted away. People are pocketing monies. We are seeing it. EFCC is catching people. NFIU is tracking people. People are being hauled into prison for money, burgling amount of money.
All
So
right.
it's not money, sir. So
Okay.
if you were in this position, somebody made a comment, sir, I think it was
Please, can you just go straight to the
Captain,
question because
it was
of
Captain
time?
Shehu,
We have
who
to take
said
another
that,
question.
now she has made me lose my train of thought in that. It
I
was
apologize.
issue. It was
Please just
issue.
go straight.
It was issue of the balancing of the budget. That if the balancing of the budget was,
We
if we
cannot
balance the
take
budget,
comments. Please just go straight to the question.
right?
All right. Could you ask your question?
My name is Oladuko Adeolu. Just like one of our keynote speakers said, he said that a democratic system of government can bring in even a person who has no knowledge of government to be a president. And as you know, the Nigerian system practices a presidential system of government, which means the president is the chief commander of the armed forces. And in as much as we have inexperienced presidents in Nigeria who just make military decisions without any idea, we cannot also detest the fact that we've had presidents in the United States where presidential system of government originated from, where I'm sorry, please. Yeah, it's to go to the question, Mike.
Go ahead.
Okay. My main question now is, okay, since in the United States of America, we had a presidential system of government where the president made an order which dropped the two bombs at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So my question now is, do you feel the presidential system of government should be curtailed, like the powers of the president for the military should be curtailed, or it should still be maintained in case we have a stronger president who can still maintain military decisions in the future, or the military power of the president should still be shared? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We'll take your question.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Asia Ahmed. Mine is really not a question, but more of a reflection for all of us. We've heard from the experts. We've seen, we've lived insecurity in Nigeria. The question I want us to ask individually to ourselves is, what have we done as individuals to contribute to the insecurities that we have? We have complained about politicians, we've complained about military. However, were we not the same people that encourages the same behaviors that, these politicians are having? We are the ones that continuously go to them and demand certain things that they cannot do if they are not going to compromise on certain things. So as individuals, as a community, as a people, are we ready really to fight this insecurity? Because without security, nothing, absolutely nothing works. Thank you.
Yeah, my question. Okay, can I go on?
Okay, very quickly, just put your question.
Just
30
okay,
seconds.
fine.
We need to wrap it up in 2 minutes.
No
so
problem.
30 seconds, please.
Yeah, my question goes like this. Those days, we used to have what is called the CID, whereby intelligence, because most of our problems we are having in the security force is lack of intelligence. What happened to those CIDs that usually give us intelligence those days before things happen? What happened? How did we get to this stage of lack of intelligence? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Let me answer that question. Yeah.
Okay. Look at Usman.
I
Brigadier
have
General
to beg to
Usman,
answer
please,
this
30
question.
seconds.
It's all right. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I thank you most sincerely for that question. And I started by saying that bulk of the security challenges is simply because we neglected our policing system in this country. And a mere reference, there is no country in this world that doesn't have one form of policing system or the other, but there are countries without armed forces. Take, for instance, Costa Rica. So, to what extent have we invested in this policing system in terms of the number? They have just done the arithmetics now. In terms of the training, in terms of the equipment to meet up with the challenges, or, you know,
All right, Brigadier General Usman.
I mean,
Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
1 year ago, a new government stepped into the spotlight and took the reins of our nation. The promises were grand, the challenges immense. Daria Media, with the support